Well, happening now, it could be a very important day for firefighters in the northern part of New Mexico as they are still battling not just one, but two wildfires.
And they are especially keeping a close eye on the weather because if the winds change, more than 100 homes, they tell us, could be in trouble. It starts with the Thompson Ridge fire. It has now burned at least 7,400 acres, and it is just 5% contained. But that could change today because the largest firefighting air tanker should be back in the skies in just a few hours. I'm talking about Tanker 911. It's an old DC-10 jumbo jet. It drops up to 12,000 gallons of water or retardant on the fire. Here it is fighting the Little Bear fire last year. It made one drop on the Thompson fire yesterday and should make at least one more today. Helicopters are also fighting the blaze. And as a result, by the way, Fenton Lake State Park is closed.
All right, near there, firefighters are still trying to keep the Lagunas fire about 10 miles north of Pecos from reaching more than 100 homes, some of them just about 3 miles from the flames. This fire has grown to about 9,000 acres. It's about 14 square miles. It's now 15% contained. And because of this fire, the Pecos Las Vegas Ranger District of the Santa Fe National Forest is now closed. Smoke from both the Lagunas and the Thompson Ridge fire could blow into Santa Fe, Los Alamos, Las Vegas, and Jemez Springs again today. If that bothers you, please stay indoors.
And you know, those homes that we're talking about are on the west side of the fire. So, you know, I think the big question is, you know, are these winds going to change? I mean, that's really what firefighters are mostly worried about.
Well, the winds are going to change direction across eastern and much of central New Mexico. The good news is for the Thompson Ridge fire, actually, they're so far west, the Jemez Mountains, that really that east, the front's having a tough time getting there. So it looks like we may actually be okay as far as the winds are concerned there. And we may get a little bit of moisture, too, to help things out. Here's where we're at right now, and you can see most of the moisture out across far eastern New Mexico with things really, really dry, but that moisture is going to be moving from east to west. And for the Lagunas fire, we are going to see a little bit more moisture moving in later this afternoon as that front heads your way into the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. We'll see a little more cloud cover, relative humidity getting up to 24% this afternoon. That's when we could see maybe a few showers, a thunderstorm too, and then winds, but not until 5, 6 o'clock, are going to switch, becoming more easterly at 15 to 20 miles an hour there, and temperatures will start to drop a bit behind that front. But again, over in the Jemez Mountains at the Thompson Ridge fire, basically that's so far west that we're going to see mainly a southwest and south wind as it looks right now. Looks like that front's not going to be able to quite make it there to change the winds to that easterly direction blowing towards the west. So that could be some good news for the homes, and we actually could get a little bit of moisture there, maybe even a stray storm, but chances for that pretty slim. Temperature wise, topping out in the low 80s there. I'll have more details on this front that's moving in, bringing the changes coming up.
Okay, be sure to stay with KRQE News 13 for the very latest on the wildfires threatening our state, both on air and online at krqe.com. In other news this morning, we now have new dramatic lapel camera video of police looking for a recent suspect.
It's of them launching an all-out manhunt for the guy who's accused of kidnapping a little girl in Albuquerque last month. Take a look at this. Albuquerque police are going after David Hernandez here back on May 15th. They say this man kidnapped a little girl, let her go, then led the girl's mom and police on a wild chase for about 7 miles, then took off running. After that, police say they used everything they had to go after Hernandez. They had their guns out. Here they are with the K9 chomping at the bit.
Anyone inside of the crawl space needs to come out now or make your presence known. Police dog will be used to find you. When the dog finds you, if you move, he will bite you. That's your final warning.
Albuquerque police never found Hernandez that day, but he turned himself in the next day. He is still in jail this morning. He is now officially indicted on kidnapping and child abuse charges. It is back to court today for a former Albuquerque police officer.
This guy is accused of killing his wife and trying to make it look like a suicide. Jury selection for Levi Chavez's first-degree murder trial could start anytime today. For the last 2 days, the judge has been ruling on motions his lawyer and prosecutors have filed. Investigators say Chavez killed his wife, Tara, in their home in Los Lunas back in 2007, then tried to cover it up. We will be in court today and let you know what happens.
We now know more about a fire that killed an 84-year-old woman inside of her house in Albuquerque earlier this year. Investigators say Juanita Adams accidentally caused this fire, a huge one, that destroyed her home and killed her back in January. They say she was smoking around her oxygen tank when her home here near Candelaria and Wantabo went up in flames. Investigators say Adams had gotten burned in the past for smoking again near her oxygen tank.
A report by the Office of the Medical Investigator was also released on the death of a 20-year-old UNM art student who was hit and killed on I-40 earlier this year. It states Jennifer Bobrick had been drinking and doing drugs before she tried to run through traffic near Carnwell in the middle of the night. The car that she was in was found crashed into a boulder along the frontage road. Toxicology tests show that she had alcohol, Benadryl, and ecstasy in her system. Her death was ruled an accident.
Well, good news for teachers and school workers in Durango. They are getting better benefits, and some will get a raise too. Durango School District 9R says it had to cut $1 million from its budget, but still managed to give workers better health insurance and discounts on childcare. Some workers are also paid on a scale that will increase. And unfortunately, new this morning, not so great news for most workers in Albuquerque. We are getting paid less than the national average. That's according to a new study just out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It says overall, workers in Duke City make 6% less than their counterparts all over the country. Here, workers average about $20.69 an hour compared to $22.01 nationally. You can go check out the study for yourself by going to our website and clicking on KRQE links.
There is a glimpse of hope. We do have some good news to tell you about regarding some jobs. A healthcare company is looking to hire hundreds of workers right here in New Mexico. Albuquerque Business First reports that Molina Healthcare of New Mexico wants to add about 400 people over the next 7 months. The company is expanding to handle the state's Medicare expansion and the Federal Health Care Act. Last month we told you Blue Cross Blue Shield is hiring 300 people for the same reason. So we do have some job news to tell you about, and more jobs coming to the area. They may not be as high paying as other
Right, but
places.
the interesting thing about that is, it doesn't cost as much to live here as it does. You moved
Very
here
true.
from Florida, if you live in California or in New York, and a lot of different places, Dallas and the Midwest, so may not be that bad.
Yeah.